welcome. Welcome, everybody. How are you doing today? It's so very nice to have you here. And today I want to speak a little more about what I call a radical commitment to presence, and also about our upcoming 3-week program called Radically Present. Find freedom in today's world. Our program begins on May 10th. I have been speaking lately as I'm sitting with you in our private sessions, in our programs, and as I'm listening to the challenges that arise in your life. And most everybody I'm sitting with, or we are sitting with these days, is not a beginner. So it's not so much about knowing presence or the direct experience of presence. It's more about what to do or what happens when challenges arise, when there's a lot going on, and many people are experiencing, just life, challenges of life. And what to do when that happens and when our attention begins to move with that. And even though nobody here is a beginner, or most people that are hearing this, listening to this, this is not the first time you are hearing about presence. And yet when past arises, when challenges in your life arise and bring up as well, unresolved past, we still tend to believe that there is some other time, that there is some other place, that there's some other way, some other situation in which we are going to find what we are looking for. And that illusion, that misunderstanding really perpetuates suffering. Because when there's a lot going on and already your nervous system and brain is stimulated and triggered, and there's a lot happening on the level of thought, feeling, sensation, emotion, it may look like again that there is some reason out there. If only this situation was better, or if only this person behaved differently, or if only you could change, or if the life circumstances were different, then we are going to find what we are looking for, which truly, ultimately, when you look at this, we always want a moment of peace. And so when I say a radical commitment to presence, I mean to cut through all that which is arising, to cut through all the misunderstanding, and to remember, because remembering is a beginning, to remember that what we are looking for is already here. And that practically, factually, in a moment when there's so much going on, we really need to push back. We need to push back on the circumstances. We need to push back on thoughts and ideas. We need to push back on the reasons. We need to push back on the involvement or engagement with the mind. And we need to remember that simplicity, presence is already here. It might not always be readily visible to you in this moment, but it begins with that moment of decision. It begins with that moment of commitment in which we say, no matter what, I'm willing to be here. I'm willing to set aside everything that is going on right now. I'm willing to let go and create that time and space for a moment to just let go of everything and simply come back to presence. When I say simply, sometimes that takes a little longer, sometimes that takes a little shorter time, sometimes it takes a while for the nervous system to rest and to come to rest. However, ultimately, That moment of decision is what matters. And so I want to invite you right now to just sit together for a moment, and if there is a situation in your life that causes a challenge, is it your personal life? Is it your family, work, friends, world? If anything looks like, if at any in any area of your life it looks like the fulfillment or what you are looking for is going to be in the future, I invite you to set that down. I invite you to take a moment right now, just a moment of being present. Because when we are quietly sitting here, you can already notice the different thoughts and ideas and notions about what needs to happen and what's wrong and what's right and what should be different. We can naturally allow that to be here. There's no problem with that. However, we don't want to give it our attention. So take another moment, and notice what happens when your attention is not moving with what arises. There can also be sometimes a lot of activation in the nervous system. If that is what is present, we have the skillful means of just noticing sensation in the body as you're sitting here. We could take a moment to do that, whatever is present on the level of sensation. And yet notice also that just sitting here, just that commitment, just that moment of saying, wait a minute, we don't have to continue with that begins to slow down your experience. And in that slowing down, and that might take longer or shorter, and we might need to sit with the nervous system a little more or a little less. Here we are just, sitting together, but when you sit on your own, you might need to take time more or less. However, as you are sitting here already, I'm sure you notice that the recognition of presence is already more available. That, slowly but surely, what is already here and the stillness of that, and the support that comes from that, and the simplicity of that, is already simply present. And that's what we want. We want this in the world, but not of the world. Life happens, challenges happen, situations happen, and yet within it all, let's not be fooled by that illusion again that there is somewhere, sometime, some other time, that you are going to get what you want, because what you want, and just notice that. What you want is already present. So I'm wondering how that is for you and what is your experience with that. And I'm looking forward to meeting you or sitting with you in our upcoming program. And also, if you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe and share. We really appreciate that. It really makes this more visible and more available to others.